your morality will create the culture. And this is what happened by and large in blue cities, along with bad policy. But that debate, I hope, will be settled by a video that I'm about to show you of a family-friendly, I should say, quote-unquote, family-friendly drag queen show that just took place in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Now, before I show that video to you, I just want to preface it by saying this. The reason I think it's important to show you this is not just because Chattanooga is my backyard, but also because there are people who felt like, I think, by and large, that this would never happen here. And I do believe that if it can happen in Chattanooga, it can happen anywhere, because Chattanooga is not a very large city. It's middle of the road at best, and still predominantly, I would say, largely made up of families that hold conservative values. And so what we see today is that old Martin Niemöller quote coming to pass, that first they came for this group of people, then they came for this group of people. And I didn't say anything because I wasn't in that group and I wasn't in that group. But then finally they came for me and there was nobody left to speak up. And so we're seeing that there is no place that is truly safe from the predations of the family-friendly drag queen show, as you'll see in this clip here. Now, as much of a freak show as that was, I hate to belabor the point, but there are some things that I want to point out that I hope you didn't miss. And the first one is this, is that as you can see, this small little girl is rubbing on the private parts of this mermaid, and this adult is doing nothing. Now, people are good at giving the benefit of the doubt, especially Christians. I know we don't have the best reputation as far as that's concerned, but I think that's mostly a lie. Christians are great at equivocating and saying, well, I don't know about that, and I mean, they could be doing this, and no, this is... The reality is, in a normal world, when an adult has a small child rubbing on them in that area, they pull away as quickly as possible and say, hey, no, you can rub the sequins on my leg or something like that, but don't rub in that area. But it just shows that in these kind of settings, that those kind of mores and those social cues don't actually fly. It's a no-holds-barred freak fest where small children can actually be sexually abused while parents sit back and smile. Now, the appropriate response to that kind of behavior is seen actually in some of these small children, as you can see. Now, some of these kids do what the Bible says, and out of the mouth of babes and sucklings, we see them responding to these drag queens in the way that you really should, peeling back in utter horror and disgust. Unfortunately, there are parents there, and this is the real big issue. It's not the fact that drag queens wish to dress as drag queens. The real issue is that parents wish to bring their very small children to these drag queen shows. And as you can see on the screen, give their children money so that they can hand them off to these drag queens as though they were strippers. Good job, parents. Way to make sure your kids are ready for life. Now, the reason I bring all of that up is, well, first of all, side note, because I don't want to forget to say this. It's awfully interesting to me that the family-friendly drag queen show, quote unquote, is usually focused on a young family with very young children, predominantly because young families are composed of young parents who are basically idiots who have not yet learned about what adulthood actually is. More than that, it's also focused on young families because you can only imagine what would happen if teenage boys were in a setting like that. We're in a setting like this where very large men are being shoved into very tight women's clothing. I mean, it's a field day for a teenage boy and all of the jokes that they might be able to make about a setting like this. But no, this is typically focused on very small children who cannot think for themselves and who are very impressionable. And this really is the sickening thing about these kind of displays at the end of the day. Now, while even as a Christian, I say, to a certain extent, this is a free country and you can do what you want. But I also step back and say, you can do what you want, but you cannot do what you want with kids, even when parents like seals sit back and approve of this kind of thing. Conservatives and Christians were made fun of in the past because we said that, things like, okay, groomer, and don't come for our kids. And then you have the San Francisco Men's Choir doing little parodies like this that are meant to be funny.
We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it.
And the implication with a video like this is that, hey, we're making fun of you guys who are overreacting about the fact that we're coming for your kids. We're not coming for your kids. We just want the same freedoms you have to be able to love who we want to love and do what we want to in our own bedrooms. Well, that's all up until they actually start coming for our kids, which is clear that these individuals are interested in that. Now, I want to be careful because it's not all individuals, but it certainly is these individuals. So it's not everybody in the homosexual community, but it is a certain subset of the woke liberal ideologues who wish to indoctrinate small children into this kind of sexual ideology. And it's always small children. It's never kids who can think for themselves or have the capacity for rational thought. It's always small kids. Now, I do have to say something about this. It's very interesting to me that we've been told most of our lives that you are born gay and that there's nothing you can do about it. And how can I change who I really truly am on the inside? Why do these people have to work so hard to indoctrinate very small children if this is actually just a very natural thing that grown people do and that there's nothing that people can do about it and that it's just bred into them? It's in their DNA. It's in their genes. There's something about it. We can't find a gay gene, but trust me, it's there. If that is true, then why do these people have to work so hard to focus and target on children and shove this in their face? The reality is straight people aren't shoving heterosexual sex and heterosexual promiscuity in the face of small children. So this is not even whataboutism. This is a double standard that clearly exists on the left who wants to target children, which shows that the okay groomer thing is not that far-fetched. So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video. So you definitely need to check that out because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Indie Thinker come your way. Thanks for watching.